I'll start. My name is Tandy McConnell. I was a professor of history at Columbia College in South Carolina for about 20 years. And then a few years ago, I decided I wanted to do something really hard. So I started teaching 8th graders. Any of you in the 8th grade, were you nice to your teachers?
I tried to be.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I didn't have time to look out. Which part of Oregon are you in? Are you in the eastern or the western, or in the middle of the mountains?
Portland.
Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, Northwest.
So I've spent a few days in Portland. It's a wonderful place. Enjoyed that. I look forward to asking you questions in a few minutes. So I will pass the baton of introductions on to my colleagues.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you today. My name is Tina Gabrielsson. I'm a professor of political science at the University of Wyoming. I teach primarily political philosophy, including classes like American Political Thought. This is my first time serving as a national We the People judge. I've twice done our state competition, and I've been having a ball so far, so I'm looking forward to our session.
And good afternoon. My name is Barry Anderson. I'm an associate justice on the Minnesota Supreme Court. I'm actually the senior member of the court, which just means I've managed to hang around for a long period of time. Been on the court since 2004. I have some long-standing connections with this program. I had the privilege of being an assistant coach for Hutchinson, Minnesota, and so I've seen from your side of the table, sitting there wondering what kind of impossible to understand questions the judges are going to ask. And then for the last 20 years, I've been asking those questions. And we'll see how that goes. I'm delighted to be part of this. And I just want to express my appreciation of my colleagues on the panel for all of the hard work you've put in on this, and your willingness and interest in competing in a format that has its challenges, and will probably have some difficulties and so forth. But as Churchill once observed in one of his wartime speeches, difficulties mastered are opportunities won. And we're going to help you win that opportunity today. We're looking forward to a great conversation. And with that thought in mind, you're tired of hearing from me. So I'd like to have you introduce yourselves, your coaches and teachers.
Hello, we're Unit 1 from Lincoln High School in Oregon. We study the historical and philosophical backgrounds of the United States, and my name is Josh McCorman.
Hi, I'm Stella.
Hello, I'm Anissa.
Good afternoon. My name is Owen.
Hi, I am Zoe.
Good afternoon. My name is Sunlin, and we would like to thank our teacher, Mr. McGee-Jenks, our coach, Mr. Griffiths, and you, the judges, for being here today.
All right, well, very good. We are ready to move to Unit 1. What are the philosophical and historical foundations of the American political system? Question 3. Aristotle asserts in Politics that it is not the form of government, ruled by the one, the few, or the many, that matters most, but rather the ends of government that are most important. Where in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution did the framers set forth the ends of government? How did the framers differ, if at all, about how the ends of government should be prioritized? And which of the ends of government set forth in the Declaration and the Constitution appear to have the highest priority today? We are looking forward to the conversation. You may begin.
Aristotle classified governments by purpose and form. The purpose of good government was koine symphoron, or the common good. The purpose of corrupt government was the ruler's self-interest. Classical republicanism, which sought the common good, could be found in a monarchy like Sparta or democracy like Athens.
The Declaration of Independence states an end of government Aristotle could not have imagined: individual rights that precede society. These natural rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They appear in the major premise of an Aristotelian syllogism. Government fails to protect natural rights, the people may alter or abolish it. The British king has not protected the colonists' rights. The colonists, therefore, have the right of revolution.
The purposes of the Constitution are expressed in the preamble and implied in the text. They draw on both traditions. General welfare is a classical republican principle. Liberty is a natural right. Justice, domestic tranquility, and common defense are goals of both philosophies.
The conflicting ends in the preamble reflect the conflicting goals of the framers. During the convention, their arguments over power or means were really arguments about ends.
Presidential power raised the question of national power. Alexander Hamilton believed that the country needed an energetic executive. Roger Sherman warned that today's strong leader is tomorrow's tyrant. The framers designed separation of powers and checks and balances to prevent tyranny.
Slavery presented the starkest choice. John Rutledge argued that the Constitution's goal was political and economic union, not moral union. Gouverneur Morris called slavery the curse of heaven. The framers chose national union over natural rights.
The debate on means and ends continued long after the convention. What power did Congress have under the General Welfare and Commerce clauses? Hamilton took a broad view based on economic nationalism. James Madison, a narrow. The dispute between these framers gave rise to political parties.
Foreign affairs also pitted national interest against human rights. In the war between Britain and France, Hamilton believed America's long-term interests lay with Britain. Thomas Jefferson argued that America should help a revolutionary France based on the rights of man. America did not.
Today, the executive branch is much more powerful, and the current president claims total authority. He has fired whistleblowers, attacked judges, undermined governors, and scorned the media. We are undergoing a stress test of checks and balances.
Congress's power to regulate commerce has increased. A pot of marijuana on a windowsill can be made illegal. So can a motel owner's decision to deny service to a customer. Only recently has the Supreme Court placed limits on the commerce power.
Congress's power to tax and spend has also modified capitalism. This year, the federal government will spend $1.2 trillion on pensions, $1.3 trillion on healthcare, and $2.2 trillion in pandemic recovery. These are not the actions of an umpire state. They are general welfare measures.
Liberty is a core value. We abolished slavery, have protected same-sex marriage, and passed the Magnitsky Act for human rights in Russia. But liberty changes with national interest. We interned Japanese Americans during World War II and did nothing about the death of Jamal Khashoggi.
In short, the United States does not place a higher priority on common good or individual rights. It chooses, as the framers chose, one or the other depending on the circumstances. By striking a course between the two extremes, we honor the father of politics, Aristotle, advocate of the golden mean. Thank you. We are ready for your questions.
So let's start with Aristotle. Political scientists and historians would look at the progressive era of reform and would point to probably the most significant reforms as initiative, referendum, and recall. How would Aristotle view those reforms? Would he approve or disapprove of them? Why or why not?
I think Aristotle would be extremely pleased to see those reforms being made, because he really emphasized the political participation of the people, and this system, or also known as the Oregon system, that has been implemented in many states now, emphasizes the political participation of the people and emphasizes a direct democracy.
Also, with this system in specific to the United States, it gives the voice of the middle class and the lower class and tendencies of people who don't normally run government. And I think Aristotle would support this for this reason as well, because he was a strong advocate of the middle class being the pool of wisdom with the most experience and most diversity.
Unlike the American founding fathers, such as James Madison, who believed that the purpose of government is to protect the natural rights or to protect the people completely, Aristotle believed that by entering into society, it was actually a complete benefit for people to partake in government and to fulfill their potential as citizens. So by having initiative and referendum, he would definitely support the participation of these people.
Thank you. Next, Tandy.
I got so wrapped up in that I forgot it was my time. I want to circle back to Aristotle again. Aristotle saw, I think, as you pointed out, the goal of government is the good life, the eudaimonium, the good spirit, if you will. Is that a individual goal, or is that a goal for the community? I guess the short way to put it is, can I be happy if I'm the only person happy in society, or can I be happy at the cost of everyone else's happiness?
I think that it is a goal of the community. From reading what Aristotle wrote, we realized that he was very into community and koinonia and what the government was supposed to do for the community. And that end was a good life. That was koine sympheron and what the polis was supposed to achieve. And I think that this is absolutely a goal for the community and not for individuals.
But I think he also found that in a reflection of this good for the community allowed better lives for individuals in which they could, in most cases, participate in political activities and just reach a better balance for their own being.
Very good. Thank you.
Hey folks, my question for you today is, for the founders, one of the ends of a federal republic is to avoid the most common faction, that between the rich and the poor. How effective has the US Constitution been in this regard?
I think the US Constitution has definitely had some success with avoiding factions, but I do think we have two main factions that do kind of dominate the rest of the country, and that being the Democrats and the Republicans. These main factions are not fantastic, as they frequently polarize the country and do cause many problems to arise within, especially government shutdowns. This is not necessarily at a cost of one faction over the other, simply the polarizing nature of the factions that James Madison pointed out in Federalist 51.
I would say that the American people, especially in the present day, especially with the rise of right-wing populism and left-wing populism, we can see that there has been an extreme divide between the rich and the poor, and that the poor or the middle class have seen our President Donald Trump as someone who's against the rich and for them. So I see that we can see some factions arising, that the Constitution didn't really do much to stop that from happening, despite the lack of wealth needs to be in government as set out by Article 1, Section 2, Article 1, Section 3, and Article 2, Section 1, which gives the requirements for people to be nominated in our republic.
I would disagree with Stella in that I think that the Constitution does in fact indirectly address economic status. For example, as she mentioned in Article 2, Section 1 and Article 1, Sections 2 and 3, the specific qualifications for office do not mention anything about economic status, and there's no requirement like for property or for economic status. It's simply an age requirement and citizenship status. So I think that the Constitution and the framers were aware of the fact that there were many different people who would be good fit for leaders in our country who did not necessarily have the economic means.
So let's talk a little bit about natural rights. How do we, you talked a little bit about setting up natural rights against other things. How do we tell whether or not we're protecting a natural right from, say, the predations of the government?
Well, we can see that natural rights can be protected through the ends of government. Certain areas in our Constitution, like protecting individual liberty in our preamble, are very apparent, and it's important that our government protects these natural rights, since it's fulfilling that end of government.
I would say you could also see government protecting your natural rights in court cases. For example, on Monday with Ramos v. Louisiana, we could see the government protecting our natural right against removal of our life and property with the incorporation of the 14th Amendment due process of the 6th Amendment right of right to jury, except it has to be unanimous to be able to convict someone of a crime on a federal level.
All right, well, very good. Just a tremendous opportunity for three of us, and certainly myself in particular, to be part of this exchange of views. You demonstrate a tremendous grasp of the material that you've been asked to study. A couple of observations. I like the discussion that we had about Aristotle and some of those progressive reforms. I think if we had more time to explore it, we maybe would take a look at what Aristotle might have to say about direct democracy and some of his concerns about that. They might be implicated here with those kinds of direct democracy options. I like the citation to Ramos. You know, that's a relatively recent decision within the last week or so, and you know, it is a. I mean, you if you dive down into the opinion, it's a little hard to figure out exactly what's going on there, but I think it's pretty clear that it's a common law protection of the right to a unanimous jury verdict in a criminal case, serious criminal case. And that does appear to look very much like a natural right, and the court was in fact protecting it. So very strong performance, and I really don't have anything else to add. I'll turn it over to Tandy.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was trying to take notes on all the stuff you were saying, and I had to give up. You were saying so much, and your information was so good. I hated feeling I was missing part of it. Anytime somebody uses Greek, I was happy to hear the word koinonia thrown in there. The idea of the common happiness, or the community, the idea of the kiene, the commonality. That was great, and I don't want to be specific except to say you did a phenomenal job. You covered an enormous amount of information. You brought together ideas from all over the place, and I really enjoyed our conversation. So thank you very much for a chance to be here.
Thank you.
I agree with both of my colleagues. I'll just add, a little bit on the edges here of what they've already said. I really liked all of your historical examples. It was historically really well informed, your presentation, and particularly I liked how in thinking about contemporary priorities, you use sort of developmental lines on different aspects rather than focusing in on, say, one example. So I thought those were some real strengths of your presentation that I appreciated, on top of the rich evidence that you brought to bear in the response to questions. So thank you for your presentation.